Hey everyone, what's up? Do you hate limited stash space, no crafting, boring endgame, bad itemization, all while having various forms of monetization shoved down your throat? Then I have the game for you. Last Epoch is launching next month, and I'm going to explain to you why it is the savior for all of my fellow Diablo 4 refugees. First, unlimited stash space for in-game currency. Arguably the most annoying part of Diablo 4 is the limited stash space, with all of the various aspects you find taking up the majority. Even in Path of Exile, while you technically have access to unlimited stash space, the premium stash tabs are behind a paywall. In Last Epoch, you have access to unlimited stash space for in-game currency. My favorite thing about action RPGs is finding and collecting loot, and when stash space is severely limited, you are forced to make decisions about what to keep and what to toss. On top of the unlimited stash space, you also have the ability to categorize your stash tabs, allowing for even more item organization. Second, the price of the game. Currently, as of recording of this video, Last Epoch is listed for $34.99 on Steam. That is 50% discount when comparing that to the $70 price tag of Diablo 4's base edition at launch. Many would argue that Diablo 4 was released as an incomplete game, and in my opinion, it still is. Even at half price, Last Epoch has several systems that Diablo 4 desperately needs, and even innovates on many core systems vital to a good ARPG. Some of these include crafting, skills and itemization, and trading versus self-found. Speaking of trading versus self-found, this is arguably the most innovative system that Last Epoch has to offer. They offer two factions, with the trading faction being titled the Merchant's Guild, and the self-found faction being titled Circle of Fortune. When you're starting your new character at launch, you'll have the option to select to be a part of one of the two, which is changeable later. Circle of Fortune boosts your drop rates of items and includes additional passive bonuses you will unlock by participating in the mechanic. Some of these bonuses include affixes are 50% more likely to be exalted, which means the affix is a higher tier than the normal cap of 5. Another one is 35% higher chance for double rewards from completing monoliths, which is the primary in-game system. And even a chance for a full set to drop in place of one of the individual set pieces that would have dropped previously. Circle of Fortune also includes prophecies, which are purchased using favor that is earned by engaging with the Circle of Fortune system. Prophecies are events that require you to complete a task with or without an additional condition that then provides a specific reward, such as a unique item, X number of rare amulets. This becomes a very good way to target farm. Circle of Fortune items are marked as such when they are acquired, and therefore cannot be traded through the Merchant's Guild. As for the Merchant's Guild, there are similarities to the Circle of Fortune, such as gaining favor and unlocking additional passive bonuses by participating in the mechanic. Some of these additional passive bonuses include the ability to trade specific unique items, trade exalted items, trade idols, etc. This trading occurs through an in-game auction house. As I mentioned earlier, my favorite thing about ARPGs is acquiring and collecting loot. Second to that is trading said loot for items that I need for my build. To me, this is a core component of a good ARPG, and Diablo 4 not allowing the trading of legendary or unique items is dumb. Even worse is how you have to go about trading even rare items in Diablo 4. To make any sort of meaningful trade, you have to go through their Discord or use a third-party site. And that is only when their trade system isn't down to their reoccurring dupe exploits. Another thing that Last Epoch offers that no Diablo game has ever offered is a loot filter. On top of the limited stash space problem in Diablo 4, having no ability to filter out the junk that drops is a major annoyance. You can easily import already made loot filters or easily create your own rule sets within the actual game. Last Epoch's loot filter, with its ease of use and customization options, is truly a new industry standard for ARPGs. You can even filter to specific affixes that you need crafting materials for. So any item with that affix appears, and then you can salvage. Speaking of crafting, how did Diablo 4 actually launch with no real crafting system? Minus the silly one affix reroll. Even if they didn't have time to implement a full crafting system at launch, at the very least, they could have adopted one of the better systems ever produced in a Diablo game, that being the rune words from Diablo 2. Just saying. But to stay on topic, the crafting system in Last Epoch is amazing. It has a lot of depth while also being digestible for newer players. Anyone who has ever played Path of Exile knows how complex their crafting system can be, and Last Epoch does a really good job of balancing the depth of PoE's crafting while also being more accessible to a wider range of players. In crafting, you can add new affixes, change existing affixes to something else, level up the tier of existing affixes, and you can really turn a regular base item into a great item for your character's progression. Even cooler is the in-game crafting, where you can merge a unique item with legendary fortune potential with an exalted item. Randomly add X number of affixes from the exalted item to the unique item, based on how much legendary fortune potential the unique item had. This creates possible best-in-slot items called legendary items. It makes the in-game itemization of Last Epoch much more fun and interesting compared to Diablo 4. Continuing the theme of itemization, one of the larger issues I find with Diablo 4's itemization is that empowering a skill relies on finding a specific aspect or unique item. In the skill tree, you only get 2 passives for each skill, so there's no meaningful decisions to be made that way. This causes many builds to rely on finding certain aspects or unique items to even play the build they want to. A good example of this is the Tempest Roar for Druids. In Last Epoch, instead of relying on itemization to empower the skills you want to use, you get the option to specialize in 5 skills, with each having their own unique passive tree, which has many interesting choices to empower your skills. The best item in Diablo 4 is the Shaco, and that is because it's good for all classes, with the unique aspect not being tied to any specific skill. If certain Druid builds didn't have the reliance on Tempest Roar for viability, they would all rather wear Shaco for obvious reasons. Being forced to use a specific piece of gear just so your build can work versus wearing the actual best-in-slot option is bad game design in my opinion. Then when you realize you can't even trade for this build-enabling item, it makes you question why you're even playing the game. Now, I could go on for hours talking about additional things that Last Epoch does better than Diablo 4, like their in-game, their idol system, class fantasies, doing a deeper dive on itemization and crafting. But the point I'm trying to make is, if you're looking for a new ARPG with amazing gameplay and innovative systems, and are bored out of your mind playing the same Diablo content every season, I highly suggest giving Last Epoch a try when it launches next month on February 21st. I hope to see you there.